Welcome. Today we are talking with the sweetest girl. I'm so excited for this conversation today. We were talking with Courtney Florey. I cannot wait to get into this conversation because I always tell people I love helping get your time management skills together, getting more efficient. Let's talk about schedules and calendars and planners and checklists. And that is my jam. But don't you dare come look at my house. Don't ask about it. Please come organize my thing. No, ma'am, I will not. Please and thank you. But you know who is helpful with that? It's Courtney. So before we jump right in, I want to tell you a little bit about her in case you don't know who she is yet. You will by the end of today's conversation. Courtney is a military wife, boy mom, and decluttering coach who helps moms simplify their homes and find contentment in life. Her heart is to be the encouraging friend and gentle guide that makes the often emotionally exhausting process of decluttering feel doable. She knows decluttering can feel isolating, and she's passionate about providing a safe space to support moms on their journey to simplicity because it's always better when it's done together. And I find that to be so true. If I have a friend in here to help me manage the chaos, it's doable. I can manage that. So, Courtney, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're just going to dive right in. We've heard who you are, and now we want to hear what you have to say. So before we can go too deep into decluttering, I got to know, what does breathing room look like or feel like for you?
Yeah, so for me, it's being able to physically exhale in my home, sit on the couch, and rest without feeling guilty, without feeling like or knowing in the back of my head, I have 53 other things to do, whether it's on my to-do list, whether it's because I'm looking around and from the couch, I can see the piles or the things.
Have you been in my house? Have you been in my house lately?
It is the physical clutter. I mean, there's so many ways that clutter impacts this, but the visual clutter, it's that constant reminder that there's more to do. And it makes me feel like I can't rest. Like, yes, I very well could, but seeing it is like, nope, get up and go do that. You can't rest until it's done. And so for me, it's being able to sit down, feel at peace in my home without looking around and seeing all of those little reminders.
Yes. Oh, and I'm so excited to talk about this today. I need all of your wisdom because it sounds like when I talk about let's create some breathing room, but I'm talking about mental clarity and healthy boundaries in your life and this physical space. You really want to see my full-on ADHD show up. Girl, look around my house. I know. I always feel like I do have room to breathe when my physical space is not a cluttered mess, like you've said. But I will also say the idea of being a minimalist, right? That feels very unattainable right now. Especially, I've still got 2 teens in my house that I'm trying to raise. So that's a whole, whether it's little kids, big kids, kids got stuff. And so being a minimalist with other humans in your home is a whole vibe. And then also getting everything organized is a whole thing. So is there still a way that we can create this physical breathing room without hiring a professional organizer or throwing out everything that we own? What does that look like?
Yeah. So I take a very simple but realistic approach when it comes to decluttering. Over the years of working with moms, I've seen that a lot of the time women will fall into one of those camps, like feeling like they have to throw everything out or feeling like decluttering or quote unquote being a minimalist has to look some type of way. They have to get rid of X amount of things and they can only have 5 pairs of jeans. And it's like that just doesn't work for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Or they feel like they have to get organized. Maybe they aren't a naturally organized person. And so they feel like, okay, well, I need to get all the bins. I need it to look pretty and perfect. A lot of the time, because of what we see on Instagram, there's even TV shows now, where it's all about getting organized. And I think there's a time and place for it. It doesn't mean we can't ever do it, but that isn't going to be your first step if you're drowning in stuff, because you really want to address the root of the problem, which is the stuff. And instead of just putting it in bins and baskets, which by the way, you're probably going out to spend money on, and I like to say, you're buying more stuff to put your stuff in, right? When you want to just get rid of it. So don't feel like, or take the pressure off to feel like you have to be in one of those two groups, or you have to dive in and, fit this mold, because you don't. You can declutter in a way that works for your life and that reflects the way you want to live by being intentional and asking yourself some questions. The main one being, what do I want my life to look like? What do I want for my life? For example, do you want more breathing room? Do you want to feel at peace at home? Are you tired of tripping over stuff or not being able to find anything? Okay, if that's the case, then how can the stuff in your home, or how much you have or what you have, reflect that? Unfortunately, it's not a black and white answer. I know a lot of the time people are like, but just tell me, like, what do I do? Because it's helpful and it's easy. It's like, well, if I knew exactly what to do, I could do it and be done.
Right.
But it's not. And it can be emotionally exhausting because there's so many decisions you have to make. But when you know in the back of your head, I want X for my life, I want, more peace, whatever it is, it feels, at least for me, it has felt a little bit easier to let go of certain things because I know what I'm working towards. I know it's not about having as much as I can, or I know for some, like, having a lot makes them feel comfortable or makes them feel safe. But again, if you have this end goal, I think it can be motivating to kind of take those steps forward.
Yes. Oh, it's so good. And you are, in fact, speaking to the queen of purchasing bins or baskets. It's kind of like how, and I'm one of these people too, but you go through and you want to get your ish together. Well, obviously, I just need a different kind of planner. Obviously, that basket wasn't the right size of basket, or I need them color coded now. We want the fix, right? And I love what you're saying about, like, there's not an answer. There's not one thing, but setting that intention, going to what is the goal here? What is the thing that I most need in life? I love Kendra Adachi, the lazy genius, right? She talks, decide once. So set your intention. This is the thing. Decide once what your goal is, and everything gets filtered through that. So I love the idea of, as we go through our spaces, what are we filtering it through? What is the whole point? Oh, that's good. Okay. I'm gonna to be taking notes and baby step through my house one bit at a time. And the other piece of this, I love one thing that you and I connect on is scripture. And in everything we discuss here in this space, we are always seeking the truth in God's word. And I know you talk a lot about contentment. And that feels like a really big part of this conversation. Everything you've said, whatever it is you're looking for the thing that brings contentment. And so, how does seeking contentment play into the struggle that we have to create breathing room in our physical spaces?
Yeah. So I just want to start by reading a verse, because this is what, I think we can pull the answer from this verse. And I remember I can't remember when I first read it. It was a long time ago, but I just remember it really resonating with me. And it talks about contentment. So this is Philippians 4:12. It says, let me turn the page. I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. There you go. That it's like there's so much in that. It's like, wow, I have learned, because it's a choice you make. It's something you do have to learn. It doesn't come natural. You have to choose to see a situation and say, I am grateful for these things. There might be this challenge, but I'm thankful, or this is what the Lord has given me. And when you think about that with decluttering and just the society we live in, there's always this pull for more. Social media, marketing, advertisements everywhere. There are advertisements everywhere we look.
Literally everywhere.
Yes. But especially social media. We go on, we see what everybody else has, and whether consciously or subconsciously, we start to feel like we need to have those things too. And what I love talking about and just learning about is the deeper root, right? Because yeah, the jeans look cute or those might look good on you or whatever it is, but like, where is that coming from, right? Are you looking for belonging? Are you looking for a sense of purpose and whatever it is you might be buying? Are you feeling like you need to keep up with other people because you're feeling a certain way about yourself? And that can often impact how we spend our money and what we buy, and then what comes into our home and how much stuff we have.
Yep.
So it is, I think, so impactful to cultivate this heart of contentment in life, not just with decluttering, but in life, because it makes life better when you live knowing I have enough because I have Jesus, because he's given me what I need.
Yeah,
I can still enjoy shopping. I can still buy and use things in my life. Like, we need things, we use things.
yeah.
But putting stuff in its rightful place, as I like to say, and not obsessing or getting to a place where it's controlling our lives. Because sometimes we can feel like our stuff is controlling us and not the other way around, as it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you're talking, I especially thought as you were talking about the jeans, clothes, I know, is a big thing for a lot of us. And some of it is that looks cute, I want it, or that's really popular right now, that would be fun to have, or I've worked really hard, I deserve it, I know is, a big one. But also those of us who has had our bodies change over the years we've had babies or had health issues or stress ate our way out of X, Y, and Z. There's all the different reasons and we hang on to the things. And I just had this conversation the other day with someone, well, I'm hanging on to those because when I lose X number of pounds, then that's going to be my reward. And I looked her in the face and I said, listen, Linda. Her name was not Linda, but I just felt the name. Listen, Linda, if I lose 30 pounds, I get to go shopping.
Yes.
I don't want to hang on to the things that bring me guilt or shame or make me feel bad about myself. I want them gone. And that has been a more recent thing for me because we want to do better and be better and aren't content with the way things are. So I think that's a big heart piece to explore. And with stuff, this was another conversation. I've been having a lot of these conversations lately, Courtney. This is very well timed. But a friend and I were talking about the things we have like to decorate in our homes and, what we like and don't like. And I really kind of went through this season where I am not an interior decorator. Also, don't ask me to come decorate your house. It's bad news bears. You don't want it. But I love having words around me that are encouraging or having scripture. I need the visual reminders to keep me on track through the day. And so I do have quite a few things in my house that have words, but it kind of got to that point where it's like, we're going to be drowning. We're like having books on the wall, like speaking to us. We got to narrow this down. And so just being aware that it's good to have a couple things like that you like, but you don't have to have all of them everywhere all the time. And that's where not being a minimalist, but like moderation, I guess.
Yeah. Being intentional or selective with what you choose.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not great at that yet, Courtney.
You will be. You can get there.
Okay. Thank you. And okay, so with that, I have heard you are the queen of quick wins and dopamine boosts, which my neurospicy brain loves when it comes to clearing out our physical spaces. So I'm here for it. What are a few ways we can get that quick win with decluttering and feel better about the physical space we are in? Tell us all your secrets.
Yes. So first thing I want to say before we start even touching stuff or chucking stuff in bags, because I know you're ready, I want you to take the pressure off to feel like you have to do it all at once or all in one day or in a weekend, even a week. I mean, we put these, I think because we're so eager and like we get to the point when we're done. And I think with decluttering, we really have to work our way up to even starting. We have to finally get to the place where we're either like, okay, I'm really ready, or I'm so overwhelmed, like I want to throw everything away. I've had people say that, or I want to move and start fresh because they literally are just so done, right?
Mm.
So I think it takes a lot to get there. And then once we're there, it's like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go. But what I have seen happen is people put these unrealistic expectations on themselves to, I'm going to do it all today, or I'm going to do whatever it is. And then we've all seen those reels of, the girl in the closet surrounded by all the clothes on her phone, like, oh, I'm watching reels in my closet with all my clothes around me because I'm now overwhelmed, right? I pulled everything off the hangers but I haven't made any decisions. And now I'm overwhelmed because I did too much at once.
Mm-hmm.
And I can relate, just like wanting to just do it. But to prevent the burnout, to prevent feeling overwhelmed, and then, usually what happens afterwards is like, I can't do this. I'm done. That was too hard. It's not for me. I'll do it later. And then later never comes, right?
Yeah.
So to prevent that, I want you to give yourself the permission to start small, to take one step. It's so much more doable. It feels more realistic. You walk away feeling good because you accomplished the thing you were going to do because it was bite size. So some examples, your fridge, great place to start because decision making is going to feel easier there than, for example, your closet or the totes of baby clothes in the garage.
Oh, don't.
Let's not start there. Fridge, maybe one junk drawer in your kitchen with random stuff that okay, half of this can probably be tossed and it's just easy decision making. Maybe it's your car. Maybe it's your reusable bag collection. Things like that where hey, I could probably knock this out 10, 15 minutes and you're done. And from there, you can decide, okay, I'm done. That's great. I'm going to pick this back up another day and do another small task. Or sometimes what happens is you do it and you're like feeling really good because you can see the the visual progress, which I love about decluttering. Sometimes with other things, I don't know, for example, weight loss, 15 minutes of working out, we don't see the pounds fall off.
What a waste. I hate it so much.
Right. But with decluttering, 15 minutes of getting rid of whatever. And from, you can open the drawer or you can see that cabinet and you can visibly see, wow, I have 50% less stuff, or, oh, I can move things around because everything isn't crammed in there. And it's really motivating.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to also say decluttering can give you a dopamine boost. I know you don't believe me, and I know shopping, clicking that buy button, ooh, it feels so good. But decluttering, it really, if you do it right, we're not going in and getting overwhelmed because that doesn't feel good and that doesn't give us the dopamine boost. But when you can do it little bite size and you can stand back and look, it feels good. You feel like you made some progress and you feel more encouraged to keep going instead of the burnout where you're like, I'm done. It's not for me.
I love that so much. And I have experienced that, and it's so funny because when I have the moment of like, we have got to empty this room of all, it's usually like I'm looking at one of my kids' rooms and I'm like, what is even happening in here? I'm setting everything on fire. I can't handle it, But we did something recently because we were having multifamily yard sale. Fix it. Jesus, it was a whole thing. But with that, I was like, we are going through all of the games. We have like 2 cabinets that are board games and card games and all these. And I was like, even if that's like all we do, I want to go through these. And I had gotten these little zipper bags that you could put things in and still see what was inside them, and they were clear. And I realized most of the board games, all of the little pieces would fit in this bag, and then you just have the board. I consolidated 2 cabinets down to like a little basket of bags.
Wow.
And a stack of listen, I felt like I had conquered the world that day. And I did it with the kids because we're, what do we want to keep and play together? But that was all we did was go through. And it probably was over the course of like 5 days. We would do it for a little bit, put it away, come back. But when we finished it, it was like, we are rock stars. We should eat cookies. We are so amazing. And so I believe you with the dopamine hit. I'm here for that. And I love the idea of instead of looking, I'm sitting here at my desk and I have this tower of drawers next to me.
Mm.
Oh my gosh. When I think of like, I need to go through that whole thing and whatever's in it, it makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
But if I was just like, today, I just want to clean out this one drawer, I might not cry over that. It might feel good.
Yes.
So when I think about the task at hand, I do feel overwhelmed. And I don't know why. I mean, if I sit here and think about it long enough, we could probably figure it out. But we don't like to leave things undone, right? We've talked before about needing to close the open loops in our head. We can't rest with all these open loops. And so I think one way to close those loops around decluttering anyway is that permission slip you just gave everybody. I love giving permission slips. And so the one to say, like, you actually don't have to, it's not unfinished because you haven't done all the things. Breaking it down like that is that's so good. I'm like going to sit with that a while. Thank you. So in your process of doing all these things, and you've got, you're a mom, you're doing the mom life, trying to manage your own time and space. What are some tools or some strategies that you have found that are the most helpful to manage your time and allow you to have some breathing room?
So I have two. I have like a personal one and more of a business one.
Yeah.
Although the business one, honestly, that could apply really to anything. So first one, I really enjoy cooking and baking and just making things for my family.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that planning ahead, and I'm totally a planner too, so I love it, or prepping ahead, whatever it might be for meals is huge. And I mean, I think I would assume as moms, we're always looking for ways like, what do we, the next meal planning hack or prepping. And for me, it's not necessarily anything rigid. It's more, usually I'll go grocery shopping on Saturday or Sunday. And then usually Sunday, I'll kind of prep for the week ahead, wash fruit, put those in a container. Cause I know, especially with produce, it's like, well, especially with fruit, it's so easy to just grab it out of a container right when it's washed, and like, especially, grapes, really just anything.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to have to wash it every time. Like, it's an extra step.
Yeah.
It also makes it last longer, right? When you wash it right away and then you store it. So things like that really are simple. It takes a little extra step in the beginning, but it really sets your week up and just makes it a little bit simpler so that you're not having to do all of those things every time, I guess, right? Because you're washing it once and then you're done and then you can grab it, or, whatever it is, prepping muffins or breakfast or snacks or things like that. So I like doing that.
Yeah.
Also, leaning into the days when I feel really energized or really like I'm getting it done today, and doing work. Again, this could be business, it could be housework, whatever it is, right? But for me, it's usually probably more work for my business, just cranking it out because I feel good. And I'm like, what can I do? What can I check off?
Yeah.
So that on the days when I'm feeling like I want to rest or I'm not in the headspace to want to create or whatever it is, I can rest guilt-free again, right? Without feeling like, oh shoot, I needed to do these tasks or these are time sensitive things. And it makes such a difference, right? Because I know, when you're not in the right headspace, especially when it's like work that you really need to think about, or, it's not just stuff you can like kind of do on autopilot, but you really need to put your heart into it. You want to be doing it from a place where you feel like you can pour into it.
Right.
And I'm no expert on cycle syncing, but I know that, if you do that, that can kind of help. And I learned about that a little bit earlier on, learning about, during your cycle, like when it is, what phase where you're feeling more energized. And then, okay, the week before, like I start my period, I'm going to want to rest. And then you can do that knowing that you've planned ahead.
Yes. And I do think you've talked several times about doing things guilt-free. Like, and that's for some people are like, I don't know what that feels like. How does one live? And I think there's always the tendency for that stuff to kind of creep up and say like, now, wait a minute, what are you doing resting? Like, you've got all these things. That piece of it, I think being able to say, I'm putting it all in on these days, I'm resting on these days, being intentional that is a big part of creating breathing room for yourself
Mm.
because you are not able to breathe easily and feel like you are able to rest and be at peace, even if you've got the space for it physically and you've created space on your calendar. If your heart and mind are not allowing that space, is not really breathing room because
Yeah.
you're still shooting all over yourself and that state.
Oh,
So
so good.
I just love that you pull that piece out. That matters so much. So I love that. Okay, two last really easy questions, and we're gonna wrap it up. I would love to know if there is a book or a podcast that you would like to recommend to our ladies.
Yes, I have two. So, Chasing Slow by Aaron Lochner is a classic. Have you read it or heard of it?
Yes, I've heard of it. It's on my list. It's on my
Okay.
eternal list.
Yeah, to be read books. Yeah, I have one of those too.
Yeah.
It's so great. Just, it totally talks about what we talked about in this conversation and more, not only simple living or decluttering, but really, well, yeah, simple living, pursuing a slower paced life.
Mm-hmm.
Such a great, like, warm hug, gentle, encouraging read. So great.
Love that.
Also, The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. I don't know if we have any Kristen Hanna fans out
That's
there.
another one on my list. You're just okay. So now I literally, I'm like, I just have to go do it. I just
Yeah,
have to get them.
5 stars for that one. I mean, The Nightingale, read that years ago. So good. I don't know. Have you read that one?
No, I'm telling you, my TBR list, Courtney, is coming out my ears at this point. And so this is what you're telling me is I've got to just bite the bullet. Well, and surgery recovery allows for lots of reading
Yeah.
time. So, all right, putting it down.
So though Kristen Hanna, you can't go wrong. I mean, she has, I think, better books than others, but I think her historical fiction, honestly, are the best.
Mm,
So hands down, if you need a good read, go listen or yeah, listen on audiobook or grab a
okay.
copy.
Perfect. I'm linking them in the show notes. I'm excited to jump in. They're moving to the top of my pile because especially both of them, but Chasing Slow is one that we've heard recommended a couple times here. So
Okay.
I need to do it.
There
I
you
need to
go.
jump in and do it. And I'll get to them all eventually. My lovely books. So, okay, where can everybody who is listening today, where can they connect with you? Because I know you've got some good stuff we need to find. Tell us all the things.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at Declutter and Dwell. There's lots of content there for you to just binge, enjoy, get tips from, get inspiration from, feel seen. Because sometimes with decluttering, it's like, I just want to feel validated. Like, I'm not the only one struggling. I'm not the only one overwhelmed because you are so not. Like, please know you are not. I know there's so much on Instagram. You feel like everyone else has it together but me. No, it is not true. So please know that. And if you need some encouragement, you'll find that on my page.
Awesome.
And then I also have the Simple Life Starter Kit. It is a super short 4-page guide that will give you a little bit more encouragement to get going, remind you of your priorities before you start decluttering, and then it will give you 10-minute tasks that you can do. I shared some earlier in the episode. You're going to get 10 more to just start, right? To get that quick win and to start your journey to a simpler life.
Love that. Well, thank you so much for being here today and sharing all of your gracious wisdom. It wasn't just like, here's all the things to do. It was like grace and love. And we need that so much, especially, when this is releasing, we've like rolled out of holiday season. We're starting out a new year. And this is the time when everybody's like, I'm going to get my life together. So I love that you have shown up today with this gracious permission slip to do things as needed and to kind of learn, like we've said in the scripture in Philippians, learn contentment in all things. So I'm going to wallow in that one for a little bit too. And I'll add that verse to the show notes. We'll add all the books and the podcasts and everything we've talked about is going to be linked below. Y'all go follow Courtney on Instagram. She's amazing. And I hope we get to talk again soon. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll see you next time.